Welcome back to Crown's Crypto Cave and the second installment of this daily morning update. A nice little quick series to get your day going as we head into the live scene over here, wasting no time because I know you're busy. You're a busy person. You're a real fucking person, unlike me. I just look at magic internet money all day. That's why I have like hours to do fucking live streams all the time. Anyways, okay, we got our second dildo close below this yellow 20-month exponential, pushing off of it, using it as resistance. That was exactly what I was looking for yesterday, and that was basically the scalp opportunity. Could we see more follow through on top of that? We certainly could, but again, I don't like to be too aggressive with these sorts of things because I'm typically a shorter term trader. But hey, that's what it can look like. So if you took that trade, congratulations to you, because that's a nice little gainer. A nice what is it? About $100 from top to bottom. I think we sold off right before the daily little close. So there you go. Going into the 4 hour over here, it very much looks like we do have a bear flag going on right here. And again, I do want to remind everyone before I get super into this, if you want the more longer term analysis, definitely check out the longer term analysis playlist. There you go, because that's what you're looking for. This is basically going to be focused on like, you know, what's a day likely to bring. All right, so yep, we're living in some sort of a bear flag, technically a broadening wedge because it's not necessarily parallel. Finding resistance along the yellow 21 exponential. And pretty much all time frames, hourly and up, are death crossed to the gills, finding resistance right along this area right here, and then selling down soon afterwards. Now, yes, we do have some support right around here. Let me actually get a horizontal right out. There we go, somewhere right around here would look about right. Yep. And you can see that we actually just wicked off here and testing it this morning. So as long as you're above this area right here, Bitcoin still does have a chance to kind of like theoretically pick itself up from the bootstraps and maybe even make a run back onwards and upwards. We'll talk about a few ideas of why that might not happen. But of course, you know, when we're doing technical analysis, we're only talking about potential scenarios, right? So if you were to break this area, and this is kind of like the big thing about it, if you were to start closing dildos below 64.50, I really don't see much holding you up from this area right over here at around 6300-ish, or it is rising over time, so it's like 63 and a quarter. Now you will likely have some support right around here at around 63.50, kind of where your former low was. But again, I do think that it is not appropriate to be too damn bearish until you actually like formally break this area right here at about 6,300. That would likely lead you to a test of the big bad area, the 6150 we've been looking at for quite some time, which is, in my opinion, kind of like the last chance for love, like the last Mohicans, if you will. As long as you're above that area, you know, you're still looking at some sort of variation of a descending triangle of a very long period of time. And, you know, you can have all kinds of fuckery going on. Now, I know that there's some people on the YouTubes and Twitter spheres and all the Trading View pros, but one of the actual pros on Twitter, Peter Brandt, was saying that we have some sort of a compound fulcrum bottom perhaps in play right here. And you know what? He's not wrong. It is a potential thing. It certainly is a potential thing to talk about different, you know, scenarios here. It is something that actually is right. It does make sense, but I would like to kind of offer up my opinion on that sort of thing because I am very skeptical anytime I hear that word, because fulcrum bottom is extremely rare. Like in like a decade of looking at this things, like maybe you might see like a couple. It's very, 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 very rare. So yeah. Obviously, the next big resistance, if Bitcoin were to hold it up above here, is, you know, still your yellow 20-month exponential right around 65.50-ish area. It is kind of declining over time. We are still operating in the confines of a descending triangle within a descending triangle right here. So be aware of that. If Bitcoin were to pick itself up from here and kind of rally back up, I don't, you know, it wouldn't be too damn hard. It wouldn't be too, you know, out of the question to kind of take a stab back at the 67.50 level right here, where we actually do have a very nice horizontal area. Yep. Oh, beautiful. Coming right back from this area over here. So I really like that for confluence, and also the top of this area over here. And I'm sure it's probably going to be some sort of a Fibonacci bullshit as well. It's not bullshit, but you know what I mean. Yeah, the 0.5 right there. So there you go. So there you go. Of course, if you were to break out of this area right here around 68.50, not much stopping you from your prior high at about 73.50, 7400-ish. This area right here also coinciding with the upper resistance of your big bad descending triangle, and also the red 200 simple moving average and purple 200 exponential moving average. So a lot of things to be aware of in this range right here. as Bitcoin does kind of crawl its way along. I want to remind everyone that the 2-day dildo time frame is death crossed to the maximum, and you would actually likely have your green 55 exponential starting to line up with this upper resistance here if Bitcoin were to make another run for this upper resistance right here and put in some divergence there. Again, I'm kind of interpreting price action before it happens, but it's just something that I want to be really, really aware of. A lot of the time, these markets will take like the longest path possible. You know how like you always want to take the shortest path possible. Like you go in a fucking straight line when you really, really want something. I don't know. Like if you need to shit, you go fucking running in a straight line. You don't like go around circles and just fucking start looking at the bushes and shit like that. You don't do that. No. You start shitting your pants, but Bitcoin will shit its pants, and that just frustrates everyone because that's the point of these market cycles. That's the point of all these market phases. This is why things take so fucking long, to piss people off, to piss impatient people off, to cause them into an emotional state where they're not necessarily thinking too straight, and then they capitulate their cones. So there you go. Anyways, yes, you can also see on the 2-day dildo time frame, we are using the yellow 20-minute exponential right here as resistance. At around 6,600, we will be getting a new 2-day dildo at the end of the day, and if it ends like this, it does. If it were to end like right here, to be quite clear, above about 64.50, it does look like it might actually make another run for this area over here. If it ended below 64.50, then I think that we'd probably be testing the bottom side of 6,300 before anything else. And while this pattern isn't too mature, it certainly could break. Let's bring up our oscillators over here. 2-hour stochastics are crossing down at the top of the range, right over here. So to me, the fact that the stochastics were just getting to, at the top of the range when Bitcoin was just getting right here and then actually respecting it to the downside after that, well, that's not necessarily the best sign. Same thing with your RSI over here, not really getting into the bullish zone, just kind of consolidating between the bearish zone and the neutral zone. So I'm not the biggest fan of that either. If we go over to like maybe the 8-hour, we can see some more things. 8-hour is actually a little bit different. 8-hour actually is just crossing up to the upside on your stochastics. So that is why I do think that it's very possible that Bitcoin could make another run back up here to like 67.50 and maybe take a formal stab at this purple 200 exponential right here. RSI on your 8-hour, same sort of thing as well, though. Just kind of floating around in no man's land is the way that I read that one. Not too much else to say about that. 12-hour, pretty damn bearish. Actually, being kind of harkened back into this bearish zone right around here, but so far, kind of bouncing off of the edge of it. 12-hour stochastics just getting into the neutral zone right now, and compare that with the daily stochastics, which crossed to the downside the other day, right as we kind of got into this region right here. So to me, that's a little bit more bearish than not, as daily RSI does, in the same sort of posturing around that bearish zone. So again, consolidating between the bearish zone and the neutral zone, definitely not the best look in my opinion. So these are the things that I want to be aware of as far as trade ideas goes. I mean, you got a nice range. You got a pretty easy range to be filled out right here. You obviously got this area right here, 64.50. If I want to put a horizontal in there, we certainly can. We got this support that we're currently on right here, right now, 64.50. So whichever way that, oh my God, I can't speak fucking English. Jesus Christ. Whichever way that these ones break first is going to likely be the next good trade. I don't know if I'd want to play this range any longer. It's kind of been tapped out. You do have a nice death cross on the 2-hour dildo time frame, by the way, just fresh out of the oven from yesterday. And again, if you did break above 65.50ish area, I really don't see much stopping you from 66.50, but really 67.50 is like the next big area to be looking for. And by the same token, if you broke 64.50, I really don't see much stopping you from about 63.25. Yes, you would have support right around here, of course, around 60, a bit under 64. But overall, you don't want to shove too many lines to these things because then it just gets too convoluted. It's just annoying to look at. 3-hour over here. Again, I do want to point out I shared this strategy in one of my videos. I don't know why. This is like just such a good one. And it's like so simple. It's so fucking simple, but your 3-hour stochastics with my settings on them, they are hinting at a cross to the downside right now. And as you can see, it's kind of being shuffled down by this yellow 21 exponential as well. So So there certainly is pressure mounting. Let's quickly take a look at the weekly. I know we don't want to look at too much like long-term price action on these type of videos, but I will show this right here because there's something there's two things to be very, very aware of right here. First things first, Bitcoin really needs to start closing weekly dildos above this green 55 exponential right here at around 7,100. Otherwise, it's going to risk a cross of that yellow 21 exponential to the downside of the green 55. That's only happened one other time in Bitcoin's history, right over here in 2014. Blah, 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 blah. Same thing as the death cross. And also, just as important, perhaps even more important, this bearish engulfing dildo right here, which was a rejection of those two exponentials, in my opinion, has not seen follow through just yet. You saw two consolidationary dildos in a row right after that on low volume, but also your bearish engulfing was on low volume as well. So it tells me that this is just likely consolidation. But hey, the big news with this one is big fucking news. Hey, if you take out the low of this guy right here at about 60.94 and 38 cents on stamp, then very likely going to see continuations on that. And I wouldn't really see much holding you up from the Cyan 100 exponential at around 5,900, which would also be a nice horizontal as well. And we'd be testing that for like the billionth, no, not the billionth, but like the third or fourth time, which is not the biggest sign of strength in my opinion. Oh yes, I do want to show this before we part ways. Of course, let's do the daily rounds of the accumulation distribution indicator, because that one does hold a lot of weight in my opinion. And you bastard, not enough indicators, you say? Well, maybe you go fuck yourself, TradingView. All right. So the daily accumulation is actually sloping up right now. So that tells me that it's actually likely that you do probably take a leg up into that maybe 600 range. Very, very possible indeed. What about the 2-day? 2-day sloping positive as well. What about the 3-day? I do believe we get a new 3-day. Tonight, yes, we do, and it is sloping down, so not the best sign. And the weekly right here also sloping down as well. So the higher time frame is still saying, hey, you got a lot of downwards momentum. And obviously, the monthly is the one that's like really the monthly, which we will be getting a new month pretty damn soon, is the one that's very, very scary to me. So this is why I really am scared to take longs right now. But hey, what would make me comfortable taking longs? Well, I'd first get to a real chart. That'd be the first step. But basically, starting, maybe getting back above this 7,400 region right there. If you started creating higher highs, that'd be a good start. Above 8,000, I'd start to get really, really interested. And above 10,000, I'd be saying, hey, I think that Bitcoin's probably seen the lows. This is just a weird fucking chart, and it's time for me to get long as fuck. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this morning. I hope this video finds you well. Again, I try to keep these short and sweet, just like the scalping videos, which I'll be certainly uploading more of. I'm just kind of like collecting more and more and more. They're pretty fun to do, actually. But yeah, again, range right here is 65.50 and 64.50. Break below 64.50. I don't see much holding you up from 63.80, but really, you'd probably test 63.20 formally. If you break above 65.50, I don't see much stopping you from like 66.50 right around here. We can just put a nice horizontal one right there. And above there, I don't see much stopping you from about 67.50. So that's going to do it for this video. Nice, another short and sweet one. Again, we are still in the confines of this bear flag right here. So keep that one in mind as well. And maybe even show this as well. Sorry. Just one more thing. I promise, just one more thing. You might also be dealing with something like this too, where you come back over here. Now, we don't necessarily have three goes just yet, but hey, that could be a potential idea as well, as making just a little bit of a bear flag on this range over here. I think better seen on the 30-minute right here. Yeah, there you go. So there you go. That's going to do it for this morning. I hope this video finds you well. Another quick short one, and I'll see you in a live stream later tonight. Take care.